floating airports, tofu chairs, and the ghost of Pan Am, all coming up on Random Access Memory.
Flying first class is definitely a luxurious experience. In fact, Anthony Toth, an American residing in Redondo Beach, California, is so obsessed with this experience that he spent $50,000 to recreate a vintage Pan Am first-class cabin in his garage.
Paris, city of 1,000 cliches, may be the real place to be for out-and-about Windows fans, as it can now claim the only Windows cafe in the world as its own, alongside all those other little tourist attractions you might be interested in. Better still, it looks like the cafe serves up to at least as many types of drinks as Windows editions.
I've never been all that enthusiastic about eating tofu, but sitting on a gigantic piece of the stuff? That sounds delicious. Nope. Yu Ying Wu's breathing chair is not really a giant chunk of tasteless protein, but it will automatically form to your body as you sit, turning from tofu to armchair with the weight of your body.
Yahoo! Derived its name from the word Yahoo, coined by 18th century author Jonathan Swift in Gulliver's Travels. A Yahoo is a person who is repulsive in appearance and action, and is barely human.
Adobe Photoshop was originally called Display, then Image Pro. It was not developed by Adobe, but instead licensed from a college student named Thomas Knoll in 1988. His brother, John Knoll, an industrial light and magic employee, was the one who recommended Thomas turn his idea into a full-fledged image editing program. Photoshop 1.0 was released in 1990 for Macintosh exclusively.
San Diego has plans for a new airport, but it won't be just your typical airport. Instead of being on land, it will be at sea, and won't be merely a floating airport, but an entire $20 billion business plan with hotels, restaurants, even universities. An entire floating city. Proof of Apple's new tablet computer has gotten a turbocharged boost with Apple's recent patent filing. Released on the US Patent Office website on Thursday, the patent filed talks about an ink managing device. While this is a very rudimentary description of what the tech world has come to expect of the rumored tablet, it obviously refers to its handwriting capability. This is an interesting update, since many of the guesses at what the tablet may look like haven't described an actual pen input capability. The general hype around the tablet has been fervently encouraged by record companies and book publishers, both of whom stand to profit by a device that supports digitized reading and music listening. Now, moving along to the climate change front. Not only is it a limited group of countries around the world that is actually setting targets to battle climate change, but the ones that are don't have an easy task ahead of them. A group of engineers have apparently calculated that Britain's renewable energy targets are impossible to achieve. In light of this, they are advocating a more militant approach, using geoengineering methods that will forcibly get rid of carbon dioxide. Examples include artificial trees. More drastic methods include launching orbital mirrors around the planet that will bounce sunlight back into space. This militant approach is based on research that shows that even if the UK could cut its energy demand in half by 2050 through efficiency improvements, the country still needs 16 new nuclear power plants between now and 2030, and an additional 4 by 2050. But don't worry, we have KESC. We all know Facebook's a big deal now. However, one of its applications has stolen the spotlight from right under its very nose. Farmville is one of the more social games offered by Facebook in which the player must plant crops and harvest them. Sounds fairly simple, doesn't it? Well, it's not. It gets further complicated when you have to pay real money to buy the most exciting farm upgrades. For about £30, you can purchase 70,000 farm coins or 240 notes of farm cash. This has received a lot of criticism lately, especially from the founder of the TechCrunch blog, Michael Arrington. Many users would be willing to pay for reaching higher levels rather than actually playing them. This is very risky when considering vulnerable players such as children whose main concern is to progress faster in the game. Zynga, the company is responsible for Farmville, claims that a third of its revenue comes from such transactions. With the complete omnipresence of Facebook in our lives, this may prove to be a costly addiction for many. Imagine a future where organs will be available off the shelf, ready to plug in and replace those that are injured or diseased. That future is not as far away as you may believe it to be. Dr. Anthony Atala is the director of the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine. He has been growing human tissue and organs in a lab for nearly 2 decades now. Quite unbelievably, Dr. Atala has recently mastered the process of printing out artificial kidneys from an inkjet printer stuffed with cells. Needless to say, this is a great, if bizarre, leap in medical technology, and will eventually prevent several ailments such as spinal bifida in children, adults with spinal cord injuries, and to help repair narrowed urethras, the tube that empties urine from the body. A super indulgent coffee maker, a youth addicted to the internet, and the usual trivia and news. We hope you enjoyed your session with I-Techie today.